Hello everybody, Double A Gaming here, and today I'm going to be showing you my Timurid 1.37 guide for EU4. I'm making this guide not because the Timurids are a super difficult nation, because they're a very fun nation in my opinion. You can take them to form Persia, you can conquer into India and form the Mughals, you can even go into China and form the Yuan dynasty, right? You can take this nation in so many different directions. They have unique mechanics that are made just for them. They're non-horde that can raid if you take certain missions in their mission tree, right? Which is crazy powerful. So I'm going to be showing you how to survive the initial crisis, right? Because on paper, right, they're in the Great Powerless, they're doing really good, but the problem is a lot of their cores actually belong to their subjects in 1444, and Shah Rukh is holding it together, right, giving the subjects minus 50% liberty desire. But that means the second he dies, you're in a succession crisis, and your vassals will tear your nation apart. You want to prevent that. And once you do prevent that, you're actually able to then take the nation in those different directions I was talking about. So first things first, right, for this guide, you might be tempted to say take this 500 gold or this 1300 manpower. You have to take lenient taxation, right? Because not only will it reduce your liberty desire by 15%, but it's actually closer to minus 20% after you factor in the diplomatic reputation. So pay attention to this number, right? 68, right? It's already at 50. So once we hire this advisor that you're guaranteed to start with, bam, as soon as we hire him, our liberty desire is fixed for now. I'm then going to follow that up by enabling divert trade, and bear with me, that will make sense in a little bit. We're going to focus on military because we want to get to Tech 4 first, because if we hit that military Tech 4 first, we're actually able to make our army appear very, very strong, and it'll actually make our vassals not want to attack or have high liberty desire. Following that along, we're going to just hire all of our advisors and start handing out our privileges. For the most part, you can hand out what you want, but there's two that you need to give out: religious diplomats, followed by strong duchies. Because as you see right now, with those two, despite asking for trade power from all these nations, I'm actually able to have them be obedient. I'm then going to do the same thing here. So despite, right, I had to placate them twice, but despite asking for all their trade power, they're actually under 50% liberty desire, and that's really important to ask them for the trade power, because not only are you making yourself stronger, right? It's not going to show yet, but we're going to start getting a lot of trade income from Persia because we're taking theirs. We're also making it so they won't make any trade income. Right now, look at Transoceania. That's 7 ducats, almost 7 ducats a month that they're getting from trade, that they're essentially going to use to build a big army to fight you, right? That's unacceptable. We're taking that income for ourselves, so that not only we can make ourselves stronger, but we can make them weaker. We're going to go ahead and declare our rivals. We're going to rival back the Ottomans and the Mamluks. You might be tempted to rival Delhi, and trust me, we do plan to attack them in a bit, but we're going to rival Ajam first. So before we unpause, the very last thing we want to do is improve relations with Transoceania and Afghanistan. You might be tempted to send royal marriages out, because that will also reduce liberty desire, but you can't do that, because if you send the royal marriage offer, it's going to be attached to your ruler, which is Shah Rukh, who's obviously going to die quickly because he's 67 plus a general. But if they send it to you, it's based on their lifespan, which, for example, this guy's 21, right? He's gonna live, and so that means if we can keep them under 50 liberty desire, they won't attack. They won't break their royal marriage, and the royal marriages reduce liberty desire by about 5%. So we're gonna let them send the royal marriages and accept as soon as they do. You might be tempted to sell the fort in Bam, but because of this monument right here, you don't want to do that. Go ahead and just keep that fort here. Our we're ready to unpause. We're shooting for the 11th of December, 1444, and we're gonna declare war right on Ajam. And this event right here is kind of just telling you about what I've been telling you about, how right now our empire stability is dependent on this one man, but our goal is to make it so we can survive this succession crisis. Now, I've had test runs where Shah Rukh lived until basically 1454, and I've had runs where he dies 11th of December, right? So that's very RNG heavy, but with this guide, you should be able to survive the war even if he dies early. It's just more difficult. The ideal situation is before he dies, your subjects exhaust themselves fighting Ajam for you. Most of the time, Ajam will rival Nogai and Shirvan. I've seen that in basically every run. But it should be fine as long as he's not getting something like the Mamluks or the Ottomans as an ally. That would probably be a restart if he did do that. I'm going to set something nice and close as my war goal, Baruch, and declare war for that right now. And the only reason why I didn't hire the free company before is because, ironically, if we do that, it makes it so we can't rival Ajam anymore. So by holding off on that until we actually declared war, we're going to get power projection advantages. Not only will we get from declaring war, but when we full annex them, we're going to be above 50 power projection, and we're going to get the extra mana points. We're going to hold off on completing this mission until we get the free company. There we go. And look, now we get that extra 10% power projection. So since our air actually isn't very good, and I don't want to spend the 50%, the 50 military power, I'm going to go ahead and make our air general. It doesn't have to be very good, we just want a general leading our armies that isn't Shah Rukh, because that will make him die very quickly. What we want to do is send our army up to Nogai, and we want to take his capital and then carpet siege him. We're in an event right here that'll change Fars's color. You can go ahead and pick whatever you want. I get toothpaste Fars. You can go ahead and experiment with that, have some fun with it. You might be tempted to choose this because it will help with your autonomy. You don't want to do that, right? Because not only it will really tick off your vassals. We're kind of relying on them to exhaust themselves in our wars right now, because they're gonna weaken themselves in a jam. Whereas if they become rebellious, they're gonna start camping their own lands, which we don't want. Alright, once we win the siege of Nogai, the province, we're gonna go ahead and make sure they probably won't accept war reparations plus money until you occupy most of their land. They're just a little bit stubborn like that. So we're gonna go ahead and split our troops up a little bit, but you don't want to split them up so much that they're actually gonna attack you, because keep in mind they're a horde, and we're fighting them on steppes and deserts, so they'll have 25% shock boost. So we don't actually want to fight Nogai. Now, Transoceania fighting them is perfect, because he might even win with that good general, but he's gonna exhaust himself doing it. He actually didn't win, which is, we don't want that to happen to us, but that's perfect, because since it happened to them, look how obedient they are now. At this point, right, if Shah Rukh died, I could pay off debt and disable divert trade, and we'd be scot-free. Like, they wouldn't even be rebellious. And now, finally, Nogai will actually accept that peace treaty. We just want the max gold. We could take this land as part of a mission tree, but I would rather have a shorter truce and take that in a second war with Nogai and attack them directly. So that's what we're gonna do. We're then gonna take our troops and move back down south. And at this point, we're doing really good because Shah Rukh hasn't died. I have had campaigns where he dies 1445, and the war with Ajam actually becomes fairly difficult. My bad for not having my troops properly attached, but that's okay. And it becomes fairly difficult. Stack wipe and revenge. Like, love to see that. But you can win that. I did win in my test run. But if he can live at least till 1446, you're in such a much better place. Because like it's like your subjects will exhaust themselves in this war. Like they're already taking debt, a lot of debt. Because mind you, in addition to having to pay for the army during the war, they're also paying vassal fee plus not getting any trade income, which is what we want. We're gonna go ahead and liberate Shiraz. Oh, he ran away. That's fine as well. I'm going to send all my troops to Guam. Again, we're not using Shah Rukh as a general. That will tell him to die. We want Shah Rukh to live as long as possible. Once we can actually win this Ajam war, we're in such a good place because we're gonna have a bigger economy, which will make them less rebellious, right? Because part of the consideration is they think they're military comparative to us and economically comparative to us by 16%. Both those will go down once we take the Ajam land. And we're going to be able to instantly core it, have it instantly be low autonomy, because it's our cores. I got an air falls skill event. If he dies while he's sieging, it'll actually be take away stability. So I'm gonna take him away as a leader, so that won't happen. I'm just gonna pray. He wasn't that good. 152 isn't much better either, but I'll take it just because I have to. And never mind, he has fully redeemed himself in my eyes. A 4 shock with 2 siege. That's the kind of RNG we like to see. So he went from a bad king to a okay king in my eyes. Alright, and here's why we focused military power so much, right? So I want to show you this right now. Let's take Transoceania. He feels that they're 128% as strong as we are. So he feels collectively that they're all the vassals are stronger than us collectively. We take that, right? That goes. Yep, we had to let that take over. That went all the way down to 81%, and now they're just fully obedient. Just to mess with them, I'm then going to enable embargo rivals that should affect them even more economically. We want these guys to be going basically almost bankrupt. Because while they're in war, they're not going to be deleting forts, they're not going to be disbanding their armies, they're just going to take more and more debt, which we can then pay down once Shah Rukh dies for them. Shirvan actually got himself fully annexed by helping Ajam. That's what he gets. And if you can, try to conserve your manpower a little bit, because you won't have a lot of it early on. And you want that manpower for the wars that come after. Shah Rukh is dead, right? But we were expecting this. We have a good air, which is perfect. But you're looking at this and you're thinking, oh, this is so bad. We're above 51 liberties there. But then you look closer, right? On these nations, we don't even have to stop diverting trade. We can just stop embargoing rivals. They're obedient. This nation, we're going to have to stop diverting trade. Now, despite the fact that Shah Rukh is dead, all of our vassals are fine. So, for the purpose of the guide, if you follow this attack Ajam, right, you're going to be okay no matter what once you get to this point. But if Shah Rukh dies 1444, 1445, you might consider restarting, but you can do it with him dying this early. But at this point, we are completely scot-free. We have nothing else to worry about. He'll have points where they get a little zesty, sort of, but then we can get rid of some of these, or even pay down debt. our subjects are still obedient, they're still helping us in this war and still exhausting themselves. But right now what we're trying to do is fully occupy Ajam, and we're going to full annex them. And if we fully annex them, we get their subjects, which slightly risky, but not really. We're going to take the subjects, and I'm going to show you how to deal with that. Alright, now we can divert trade on Fars again. Just pay attention though, because if at any point they get above 50 Liberty Desire, you want to immediately stop diverting trade, because although your subjects will never declare war on you while you're at war with the Jam. That's why even if Shah Rukh dies early, you're safe. You still would prefer them not to be having like Mughalistan supporting independence, or even worse, the Ottomans or Mamluks, right? You want to prevent that if you can. Another really good general. RNG's been pretty kind to me. If you feel like you need a good general and you're getting more entry with your generals, you can always hire a mercenary group. For example, they're all good actually, but the chances of because you can hire about 4 different mercenary companies, the chance of them all being bad is very low. So if you feel like you need to hire one of those mercenary groups, go ahead and do that. Alright, and right here, they're finally willing to accept full annexation. Like I said, we're going to take those vassals, a little risky, but I'm going to show you how to deal with that. We're going to immediately disable divert trade. There we go, and that's already dealt with. I'm actually going to, I'm not going to pay back Transoceania's debt because they have so much. I'm going to placate them and enable divert trade. They have no loans, so I can't pay off their debt. I'll pay off, I don't care about Luristan actually. I'm going to pay off Khorasan's debt, enable divert trade. Pay off Far's debt, enable divert trade, because I want their income to stay low. I only care about them being as debt as far as a tool to make them weaker, because if they have their trade income back, they could pay back their loans on their own, and I don't want to do that. Or rather, I don't want them to do that, because now, aside from Sistan, right, I still have transferring trade power on all my subjects aside from my 2 new ones. But at this point, we really are scot-free, because we can go ahead and fully we can full state these lands, because we don't have to core them because they're already our cores, and that itself is going to give us higher force limit. So we're going to hire mercenaries, which will make our vassals even less likely to rebel. So at this point, we've completely passed like the beginning succession crisis. Now we can focus on like some of the mission tree and what we want to actually do with that. First, let's scatter the remnants of the Ajam army. Perfect. Transoceania is sending us royal marriage. We'll accept that, absolutely. If you're unlucky, you might have to boost stability a few times. It's unfortunate, but that's just kind of the way the RNG is a few times. We want to actually go up to 1 for our missions, right? One of these missions we have to have high stability, so that's why we went ahead and did that. This one actually. For for the reward for the Governor's at Bay mission that we get from Shawrook dying and still having them be obedient, or vassals be obedient, you can take whatever you want. I personally go for lenient taxation because it gives us free stability, or 50 admin for maxed out stability. We won't be able to choose it yet, until 64. So that means essentially what, as long as we don't get unlucky with events, we're going to be at 2 or 3 stability all game because of a lenient taxation. Let me go ahead and pick Diplo. And you want to stay on pace with Diplo because that's another way your allies or your vassals will actually be disobedient by having better Diplo tech than you. Alright, as soon as we completed that agenda for the emirs and had 1 stability, we actually can take this mission, which will give us an event reward, which you'll see in a moment. So we got 2 options, right? The Timurids actually have 2 negative estate privileges. The first one being supremacy of the Yasa. Well, I say negative, they have upsides and downsides, right? For example, this one, it takes off the Ulema, but it actually gives you cavalry combat ability, which is nice, but it's not worth everything you lose for it. Same thing for Soyogo grants. It takes away your reform powers, takes away your national tax modifier. Now, I will admit, I actually really like the yearly armory tradition decay, but for the missions, we do actually have to get rid of that. Now for the actual reward, I'm going to choose Governor's Approval because it gives us another minus 10% liberty design subjects, gives us manpower which we're lacking, gives us 100 military power. If you wanted to, you could go for Pious Ruler, but I'm just not going to do that. I'm going for Governor's Approval. At this point, we're completely safe. I think it would take a severe blunder on our part to actually lose at this point, because now we're just essentially waiting for 1544 to be able to annex our subjects, and we're going to start with Transoceania. But prepare for that ahead of time. We're actually going to improve relations with all of our vassals, so we can try to integrate them all at the same time. Thanks to actually rivaling Ajam, we've got 96 power projection, and we're going to keep that for a long time because we have 52 ticking down yearly. So because we've held off on hiring the free company, that's why we got that. So make sure you hire the free company after you've declared war on Ajam, because there's an actual reason for doing that. While we're waiting for 1554, I'm going to go ahead and declare war on Musashi and Mizendran, because some of our missions involve full annexing them, and we have cores on their land. Our subjects are really going to help with this war. Even if they didn't, we'd be fine, but we're certainly not complaining about getting help from them. I'm not going to focus on destroying their military. I'm just going to annex their capital, or siege their capital forts, and let my vassals worry about the actual battle. Now, ideally, we do want to end this war by the 11th of December 1454, so we can immediately annex our vassals. If if we go over though, it doesn't actually matter because our vassals are so obedient. Alright, once we fully siege down Musashi, we go ahead and full annex them. We don't have claims on these two provinces, but I'm taking them anyway. It's just because I don't feel like fighting a separate war with them. Now what I am going to do though, these are just perma-claims we have, it's not cores like before, so what I'm going to do, I'm going to go ahead on our capital, set encourage development, and I'm going to improve my manpower twice, and then expand infrastructure. That'll make our it very cheap to develop, and the amount of once we consecrate development, it actually factors in the development cost, right? So we're taking 5 and getting 5 back. As we develop more and more, well, that'll go down and down, but that's why we did that. And also, in addition to that, it'll make annexing this cheaper, or coring cheaper. Right now it's at 33. By doing that, we gain, it's down to 26, so we, in this province alone, we gained 8 admin packs, essentially. And we do lose some development, like right here, we're losing 1 development, but we're gaining it in our capital, which has 0% autonomy. And we're going to use that to we're going to use the admin we saved for future conquests, so it's worth it to do that. By destroying Musashi, we get an event that improves our monarch lifespan. If by some miracle you could keep Shah alive until now, this might improve his lifespan, but I personally haven't been able to do that. But if you could, that would be genuinely pretty cool, because now all of our leaders are going to live slightly longer until 1482. Now we have some cores on our claims from the Quark-Lunyu, so we're actually going to attack them directly and co-belligerate Yuan, but we're going to wait till we start annexing some of our subjects next year. I'm also going to accept that extra merchant, just because I like having one. Alright, we've full occupied Mazandran. I'm gonna take max money, take all their land, full annex them, they're gone. Do the same thing I did earlier, right? We're losing 5 development this time, but gaining 2. Let me hold on. Once this gets up to 30, we're gonna do the same thing again about expanding infrastructure, but we can't do that yet. Doing this is really good because it you actually have missions, right, to make Herat a really nice capital, right? 25 with 2 buildings. It's already at 25, and we can build a marketplace, which will make 2 buildings. So we're about to have this mission complete. Just gotta finish the marketplace first. And like I said, you could be declaring war right now. I'm just gonna wait until like that 1 more year so we can actually annex all these vassals. Actually, I lied. I'm attacking Quark-Lunyu now to kind of take advantage of my little vassal swarm from last time. We have developed Herat, which will make it so it gets a lot more money. We're going to get 50% tax modifier, 50% production efficiency, and we're actually even going to get 50 Renaissance progress. So we are actually going to develop this up to 30 ourselves. We could actually take military, but we're not going to do that yet. because we could actually get Renaissance at 1454 before even the Ottomans or even France has gotten it, right? We're going to be one of the first non-Italian nations in the world to get if we develop Herat enough and get Renaissance going, we'll be able to do that. So let me go ahead and develop the land real quick. Expand infrastructure one more time. We have Renaissance progress. So it was actually really good that we didn't annex our subjects yet, because if we did that, it would not only be a lot more expensive, but it might not even let us do that yet. So I'm going to quickly just take like one small little loan. We're going to pay that back immediately after. But we have, as the Timurids, embraced the Renaissance, like I said, before France, before Castile, which gives us a huge advantage in tech. Now, mind you, we did spend some of that to get it, but it'll be worth it. Well, actually, the Mamluks and the Ottomans are no longer valid rivals for us, so that is very funny. Alright, we're gonna annex Gilan. We're gonna core that. Then we can finally do a peace treaty with Quark-William. I don't care about getting a 100% war score. Just want a few provinces and war reparations, some gold. Yeah, that'll be enough for the first war. We'll be attacking them later, for sure. But for now, that's all we really need. Alright, now, ladies and gentlemen, it's the moment we've been waiting for. We're going to annex our vassals. This is what the whole campaign, the whole guide is building to. And part of the strategy I use is to annex 3 of them at the same time, because you'll lose relations with them as you do it. So we're going to do these 3. Fars and Sistan and the rest of them will be a little mad at us for a bit after, but it won't really matter. Bam. So we have gone basically to the second greatest great power, only still eclipsed by Ming. We went from 7th to 2nd, and all that really took is about 3 wars, and integrate our actual vassals. Now we can go ahead and complete some of these events. It's going to give us a bunch of not events, missions. It's going to go ahead and give us a bunch of benefits and claims for further expansion. And the great thing about annexing our subjects is we can instantly state that land we took. Alright, and as soon as we finish integrating Sistan, we're actually going to have integrated all of our starting vassals. We'll have all of the missions available to us from that, because a lot of our missions are actually blocked by and actually annexing these starting vassals. Once we do that, the world really is our oyster. I'm going to show you what that looks like in just a moment. Alright, if we complete 15 battles, which we just did against rebels, we actually get the Fresh Blood mission done. Gives us some land maintenance modifier, monthly military power, manpower, and since our armies are loyal, we get command dominance. That is much cheaper, which we will absolutely take that. Reform the military as well from winning 15 battles. We get yearly army professionalism. We're gonna get another an army reformer instead of a commandant. I don't really care about that. I guess if our commandant dies, commandant, if he dies, we can swap to the army reformer, but we're not stressing. Alright everybody, 1461, we are the second greatest power in the world. We have a standing army of over 60,000. Economically speaking, we're doing fantastic because we have control over the Persian node. We get a bunch of taxes from this high development land we have. We can either choose to become, we can choose the Persian missions, right? If we wanted to reform to Persia, we could go into the Mughal, the Delian land and take over that area and become the Mughals. We could enter the steppes over here and actually become the Yuan. And if I did continue this campaign, it would be as the Yuan because I think that's the most interesting. But for now, that's this guide complete, right? We've completely beat the starting crisis, and we can do whatever we want. We could become Kearney, which is the rename for this country. We could become, like I said, Yuan, Mughals, Persia. That's really up to us if we decide to continue this campaign. If you want to see that, me to form the Yuan in the next episode, go ahead and let me know below. Otherwise, that is it for this Timurids guide. We beat the succession crisis, and we're one of the first, one of the only nations in the world to actually have the Renaissance. France doesn't even have it yet. Castile, Aragon doesn't have it. As the Timurids, we have that 1461. Like I said, over 600 development. We are in the perfect place for even a world conquest if we wanted to go from that, right? Because eventually, once we complete one of these missions, I think it might be this Delhi one. It's once we complete this, the Timurid Empire, we get more options. Like I said, guys, if you want to see me continue this campaign, let me know. But this is it for this guide. Thank you so much for watching, and let me know what kind of content you want to see in the future. Thanks. Bye.